Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Dennis Wilborn with the Active Trend Trade and with the Active Trend Trader. If you're joining us from on Facebook for this live stream, this is basically the art and science of active trend trading. I just want to welcome you all here. Do me a favor, if you like the content, please feel free to share it with your friends. Active Trend Trading is basically a educational service about how to trade the market. So with no further ado, let's get into the individual charts. Okay, again, as I say, I'm Dennis Wilborn, the Active Trend Trader. Art and Science of Active Trend Trading update is a little bit of a short webinar we do on a weekly basis. Our objective and a motto of Active Trend Trading is clarify, simplify, and multiply. And that motto developed as I was learning how to trade while I was working 10 to 12 hours a day, while I was on active duty in the Navy. And then after I retired from the Navy, as I continued on in corporate America, I was working a lot, but I wanted to learn how to trade. And so I basically took a master's level education program through the Market Technician Association to hone my skills that I've been honing for many, many, many years. So let's get going. I want to remind everybody that all the materials presented are for training purposes only. Traders should always pay for trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Art and science, what do we try to do in this? I want to take a look at tracking the index update, a couple of potential bonus setups that may be out there, LPLA, and now I'll highlight those. The big thing that's driving the market right now is earnings. Very news-driven market, as we've seen with the Fed meeting last week. It does seem like the Fed and other powers that be are attempting to set the market up so it can continue to move higher. And so we're just going to watch this. The acceleration from the downside just after Christmas last year has been almost on a straight up trajectory. We'll take a look at the chart there. And then one little tech tip I want to cover today is trade a smaller watch list. Did you know that you can basically trade one stock or one ETF and generate returns on a yearly basis of, in excess of 20%? And we'll talk a little bit about that. And so if you are working for a living, why look at 50 or 60 or 70 stocks or even 20 stocks when there are trading opportunities out there? And that's one of the things that we do offer through Active Trend Trading. And so the thing about it is don't be a Lone Ranger. And I took that picture from my aircraft as we were flying up to Whidbey Island, Washington, back many years ago. That's an old A7, and I'm an old naval aviator and civil engineer, or as we used to call it, I'm an old naval. No, it was a nasal radiator. There we go. So hey, let's go take a look at a couple of charts here. There we go. Daily, weekly, and let's go run over to, oh boy, let's make sure that I am sharing the right, I am sharing the right screen. Okay, daily, weekly. And first one, I'm going to primarily focus on the Qs on the NASDAQ. It has definitely been pushing to the upside. Weekly is my anchor chart in this case. The daily is my action chart in this case. As you can see, we have broken out from that old downtrend. It is running up towards resistance up here at about 272, 273 in that area. Let's go head on over. Come on, get over there. There we go. You can see it a little bit better here on a intraday chart, or correction, on the daily chart. Excuse me. Yeah, and we're highlighting places. Okay, look for these areas here to represent levels of resistance. As you can see, we are getting kind of a double top type formation in the TSI, and we're getting at least a two-line cluster on the market forecast. What does that typically mean to us? Is that we know that those momentum measurements cannot go much higher, and therefore we would anticipate that as momentum comes out of the system, it at least, I'm not going to say that it's going to go into a dive mode or anything like that, but we're going to have some resistance up here in this area. So that's what I'm looking at with the Qs. IWM, similar type situation. This one. There we go. Come on. IWM. I'm going to switch back over to the weekly daily. There we go. Now you can see. And it's still early in the morning on Tuesday, the 5th of February. As you can see, if the market closes where it's at right now, then the IWM and the Russell will be putting in a bearish harami, which could be an indication that we're going to reverse down to the downside, or just a pullback into the moving averages. Now that we're back up above these moving averages, watch for pullbacks into the moving averages to provide potential trades to the upside. As we can see, a little bit of negative divergence here. On a weekly basis, the market, the TSI is still heading up. That's very positive. I mean, we may get a little bit of a squeeze and move higher, but again, we are right up the 40-week moving average, which equates approximately, not quite, but approximately to the 200-day moving average, which is up here. And so, as we said, all of these moving averages here are going to be providing support for any type of a pullback into those levels. And as of right now, we're not getting the pullback, but that's what we want if we're going to go long IWM. I would not necessarily look directly at going into any other trying to trade this to the downside or try the leveraged inverse. I would not do that at this particular time. So the other two stocks that we're looking at, and these were we picked these up off of our list from the we'll call them the Lucky 13 list. Basically, I do a composite evaluation of all 13 of the IBD premium watch list for the week, and then I roll them out and see which stocks are appearing on more the most list. And so as we can see, LPLA, it had a nice breakout. The thing I like about this is earnings is over. So now we had earnings there. We break out. Where was the breakout level? The breakout level was about the 71 to 72, 73 level. Normally, we would anticipate that about 60 to 70% of the stocks that do break out from a level, let's say they break it, we broke out here, we anticipate some kind of a pullback into that level. The level holds, that's oftentimes a springboard to move higher. That's the move that we're waiting for. And also its running mate, which is showing something similar, is ServiceNow. ServiceNow came in, and we'll see, I just left that screen up there to see what kind of would be cool. Oh, look at that, almost exactly. Again, similar type of situation. We can basically take a look at, what is the level of the breakout, and that's about right, a little bit above that. Just go there. There we go. There's the level of the breakout. So about the 206 level. Again, I will get rid of my other chart, but watch like I said, 60-70% of the time, a stock after a breakout on nice volume like that, you're going to get a little bit of a pullback towards the breakout level. Just pay attention to that and watch it just for making sure. So there's two stocks that are potentially setting up, but you got to be eagle eye with them to catch them on the rebound. I would not buy them until they do a rebound. So let's make sure that I am sharing properly, and I am. Excellent. So let's just get on to the rest of the real quick presentation. This is the technical aspect of what I was talking about. One of the stocks, or one of the ETFs that we follow with active trend trading is LABU. That is the leveraged, 3-time leverage ETF for the biotechs. It does wild and crazy moves. This is the daily chart going back over 2018. And as you can see, it had 3 moves just to the upside of, 53, 35, 61. If you were compounding that, you'd come out with a compound effect of about 230%. Does not take into consideration any of the rest of these moves down, or does not take into consideration trading LABD to the downside when it was going here. But by just focusing on one, I mean, guys, and this repeats on a yearly basis, not the exact movement, but definitely one thing about LABU and what we follow with active trend trading will be great patterns that we will take into consideration. So that's what I'm saying, focusing on one. One of the things if I were to be learning how to trade again right now, the best advice somebody could make to me would be learn how to trade, or just take the IWM, TNA, and TZA, learn how to trade those, and in reality, I would not need any other vehicle to trade. Okay, what's going on with NASDAQ? NASDAQ, this is to highlight just NASDAQ typically first 4 months of the year kind of goes sideways. We'll see if that in fact happens this year. Our seasonality over the last couple of years, with the exception of oil, has been a little bit off center. And so oil typically pulled back through the first part of the year and then catches a bid after the February timeframe. We'll see if this takes place the same way. There's a lot of moving parts out there in the world. The global potential slowdown, a lot of different things. And so the volatility of the market is, I think, going to continue on for probably the next couple of years or so. Here's one of the things that we do offer to members who just, this is the free members, the free watch list, the free newsletter that we put out on a weekly basis. I highlight each week the stocks that appear on the Lucky 13 watch list. Okay, there's 13 different premium watch lists. These are the ones that showed up on the most watch list. Cyber, now team. So you can see, a couple of ones we looked at today that may be setting up. I'll be very careful on anything that potentially is setting up, watching. Make sure that you're not buying them across earnings or just prior to earnings. Finished up January, up 1.63. The indexes are up very nicely. And so active trend trading, I'm right where I want to be because basically we just stack on top of that month after month after month after month through the different strategies that we in fact do. Here's our objectives for the active trend trading strategy. And here's what we produced back in 2017. I'm in the process of updating 2018 data, but our average return has been 31% since 2012. So if you're interested in becoming an active trend trader, we follow 5 pillars of active trend trading. I'm going to just run through this really quickly. This is one of the entities we identified earlier in the year. What to trade, HQY. When to enter, right there. When to exit, right. That's one of the places based on technical analysis, 10% or 20%, or when it hits up against resistance. What strategy you're going to use in this particular case, we were building a position, and profits as of last weekend about 736 because we partook, and this part of these profits are already in your pocket. We took them off the table when we sold half the position. So market action points. We have now launched market action points it's a new service provided by Active Trend Trading. And what it does basically is pinpoint market reversal points fairly accurately. And one of the things we've added to it is there's always secondary opportunities also to get in the market. So while we may have had 4 action points in 2018 or 17 with the Russell return at 13%, the compound on just these green arrows was about 9.73, but with the secondary entries, or what I call minor entries, that added another 11.14, just compounding those by themselves, combined together, gave a compound return of about 25%, well beating the S&P at 13. I'm very thankful my son Brandon has done all the back testing on this. Very impressed that here's how the MAPS has acted against the S&P and then against other services that we have offered in the past. And so if you want to learn more, go to that website. You can check out the video. And we are also doing a registration for charter members with a greatly discounted membership price point. And it's limited to the first 30 people who register. And so as always, guys, I enjoy this time together. Thanks for joining us for this live webinar. As always, trade properly, trade wisely, and welcome 2019. Looking for a absolutely phenomenal year this year. And last but not least, this lovely lady we have been together for a long time. Today is her birthday. I shouldn't say a long time, should I? Okay. Anyway, this is my wife, Michelle. And I just want to say, honey, happy birthday. Thank you so much for how much you have supported. You continue to support me and my endeavors, and I support you and your endeavors. So love you a lot. So until next time, aloha. God bless everybody.